Today,
Thank you so much.
I so much thank God for your life, and I give God praise for what He's using you to do in Nigeria. And those of you watching right now, Reverend Dr. Udochi, Majesty, Odikanwa, thank you so much. Today is the first day of May 2025. So many people have not seen today, but here you are, cruising in a higher altitude above sea levels of darkness and getting favor from God. Hence, you are seeing us right now. Reverend Dr. Udochi, Majesty, Odikanwa with Barrister Chukwuka, and a very erudite legal luminary in Resurrection Life Assembly and also in Nigeria, doing a fantastic job for this nation. Barrister, you are highly welcome.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you. Very good. You see, today we are discussing the law and morality. We have often said so many lawyers has alluded to the fact that morality don't need any place in law, but I say that is not true. We want to hear from you, God servant and barrister. What do you think of the law and morality?
Okay, thank you, my Reverend. Law. There are so many schools of thought in law, but I will just capture the one that has to deal with this particular topic.
Right.
We have a school of thought in law that is called the naturalistic school of thought. The propounder is Cicero, a great Roman jurist.
Right.
He said that for any law to be regarded as law, and it must have reasonable quantum of morality. He's a Roman jurist.
Right.
That's naturalist school. That any law must have some quantum of morality. So that shows you, even the propounders of law,
yes,
even agree that there should be morality in law. We also have the positivist school of thought, propounded by John Austin. John Austin says that for any law to be called a law, it must be accompanied with sanctions. We also have the realist school, which says that until the court makes pronouncement that the law is not known, it is the court that interprets the law book.
Yeah.
It's what the court interprets that is the law. So, by reason of the naturalist school of thought, propounded by the great Roman jurist, Cicero, he said that any law that does not have quantum of morality is not a law.
It's not a law.
So on basis of that, I will say that law is what? Law is an instrument clothed with grace. That is the way I interpret the law.
Right.
So if there is strict application of law, you understand, you find out that some law of equity.
Okay.
Okay. Equity has to deal with, you understand, it doesn't deal with strict application of law.
Right.
It's all about
There's an element of flexibility.
Flexibility, morals. You understand? So what I'm saying is that even in the law court, judges also will tell you that this is a court of law and a court of equity. In other words, a court of law and court of morality.
Right. Right.
Our conscience to guide us, even while delivering judgment. Judges also try to unburden this burden of strict application of law. That's what they will tell you.
Yes.
Look, you may get justice in the in the court of men, but remember the court of God.
Oh my goodness. That's it. In fact, to me, that's another ultimate one.
So that is the thing. So we as practitioners also owe it as a duty to also guide clients when they brief us for certain cases. As much as possible, if it is something that you can resolve on the table, you can resolve it. The money will still come to you. If God has destined that money will come to you. Than pushing people to go to court. At the end of the day, the strict application of law can even make people to be perpetual enemy. It will not even engender peace in your family. So there should be a marriage of law and morality.
And morality
Even from Christian perspective, even from non-Christian perspective. That is why even in the traditional African religion, they will always emphasize morality. Even in their unbelieving state,
yes,
they still emphasize morality. And that's why they will tell you, look, they have scraped my tongue that I can never tell those traditionalists. So these are the issues. So morality should have a place in law.
In law,
I believe.
Yeah, you know,
I believe that.
Yeah, you see, because we need people like you to continue to speak up in this nation, because as a born again Christian you are, and of course you know that there are so many cases that will be brought to you as a born again Christian lawyer, which you will say, look, this is not tenable.
Yes.
You know, say explicit on them, telling them the truth and all that. But some people will be blind to morality and take to law, which is against the theory of Cicero.
You know, which is and you know, because of the filthy locks of this world.
Oh God!
People can do anything for money. Give me the money, let morality be thrown overboard. So, which is not true. So I see law. Anything that is called law, from the Christian perspective, should also be clothed with grace.
With grace.
And that is where morality comes in. Law came through the Moses, but grace and truth came through our
Lord. That's lovely. So those of you watching, you can hear what our legal luminary is saying. Barrister Chukwuka, very sound in law, and I wanted you to learn one or two things. Even as a lawyer out there, or lawyer to be, prospective lawyer, you must not be a liar, just be a lawyer, okay? Without morality being there. So there are so many things you don't dabble into. As a lawyer, you don't just defend a criminal very blindly. You see somebody have committed murder, you are so defendant, say, this person have not committed murder. Even when the evidences are there and all that, there are so many things. If law and morality keeps marrying themselves in this nation, I think things will be better. Equity, justice, and peace will reign.
Exactly.
And it will enhance progress.
Exactly. That is the situation. Even that's why, from the Christian perspective, we have Christian Lawyers Fellowship of Nigeria.
Oh wow.
They also emphasize on this.
You see,
in as much as we are lawyers, I'm also a member of Class 4.
Lovely.
Christian Lawyers Fellowship.
Lovely.
We should also be emphasizing that, look, there should be a reasonable quantum of morality in application of law. There must be interface.
Yes.
That's not to say that we should throw the law overboard.
Right.
Law
is supreme.
It's meant to regulate conducts, regulate the behaviors of individuals. Without law or rule of law in the society, will be thrown to obedient state of nature, where law is nasty, brutish, you understand?
Right.
And insecure. So what makes society stable is the law, but that law has to be clothed with grace.
Now, Barrister, what do you think about, let's dabble into a little bit into this political, things going on in Nigeria and all that. You see somebody today is in this party, tomorrow is in the other party and all that. And you see people trying to defend it in the law court or something. So what's your input on that? Is there any atom of morality in that?
There's no morality there. And that's why our court of law has a lot of role to play.
Okay.
The last Supreme Court gave a judgment in the Rivers State political debacle. And that judgment, by law, Supreme Court is called a policy court. Any judgment they give is a kind of policy that will guide future decisions.
Okay.
The apex court of the land. So the Supreme Court, which we call the higher bench, should also be very, very circumspect in the way they give judgment. Because you can't imagine a situation whereby somebody will win an election on the platform of a political party. The votes the person garnered belongs to the party. Because there's no provision for independent candidature.
Okay.
In our electoral act.
Yes. Even in the constitution.
Even in the constitution. You must have a ticket, you must have a platform to run. How can somebody, political party will sponsor you an election, after winning an election, you have made God the goodwill, you dump the political party.
Oh God, no morality.
Just like what happened in Delta State recently. There's no height of morality. Even in River State.
Oh God.
You look at it. Somebody won election on a platform of a political party, People's Democratic Party. You understand? You are now trying to say, that's why I say the stability of our polity depends on the court system.
Okay.
If our court is firm and apply the law the way they should, believe you me, the Delta is a political defections
yes.
that have taken place. Because once you defect, you lose your seat.
Okay.
But right now, this is what we are seeing. And more is to come. I got a hint that our Akwa Ibom State Governor is trying to move to APC. We can't develop our polity by running a one-party state. There must be need for dissent in a democratic society. You must have dissent so that it will guide other people to know what they are doing, govern with accountability, govern with transparency, and that is what it ought to be, so that the citizens will be better off for it.
Yeah, because if you go in the angle of psychosocial mentality of our people, what is going on is ingratitude, psychosocially saying. Human beings are beginning to see that you could, betray trust, be ungrateful, and still move on into anybody that has all the power. Now, Barza, that brings me to the knowledge of saying, if our electoral system is strengthened, do you think some of these defections will take place?
That's what honestly, our electoral system need to be overhauled. There is need for the amendment of our electoral act. The amendment is to the effect that there will be no swearing in of any candidate that has won an election.
Yes.
Until after the pending court litigations have been dispensed with. That is the thing, because once they are sworn in, they use the instrument of the state to influence justice. There will be no electoral justice. And that's what we are, but that's an aspect that needs to be amended in the electoral act. If you win an election, you will not be sworn in until all the pending court litigations against that election have been dispensed with. Because once they enter there, once they are sworn in, they tend to use the instruments of the state, the power of the state, to influence electoral justice. That is one aspect.
Which is very terrible.
Very, very important.
No morality.
No morality. So that is the issue. So, and this was some of these hawks, if I may use the word, in our political system, they wouldn't want that kind of amendment to take place. That will put a stop to all these unnecessary rigging and what they will call rigging of justice. Rigging of justice.
But Barza, some of your colleagues, do they think about the consequences of laws without morality, even in their time and after them, to their children and before the Almighty God? You see a judge or someone trying to give judgment, probably because you have been bribed, you have been coerced to give judgment. You will see a glaring fact, evidence before you that this Mr. A has won this, and you upturn it because probably you have been given something or something. So what morality does these people know? What do they have as conscience? But I mean, because you are a lawyer to make sure that there are rules and regulations and everything is in order. But you are causing disorder through your selfish ambition and all that.
And that is why it is also very, very important that our constitution is amended, our electoral act is amended to make sure that the appointive authorities or judicial officers, that they don't rest with the president, they don't rest with the governors. There are certain appointments made, because he who pays the piper takes it through. The president still appoints INEC chairman. Where lies independence of his actions and inactions in terms of conducting elections in the country? These are the issues. We have to deal with that one. A situation whereby state governors will appoint state Independent Electoral Commission. Where lies the independence of that electoral body? That body is supposed to be an umpire that will not lean on any side, but will stand firm on the logic, law, and sound judgment. So the morality we are talking about is that people have sold their conscience. Just watch the incident that took place in the floor of the Senate. That was last year.
Yes.
Senator Bukachua, whose wife was former president of Court of Appeal before the wife retired from the bench.
Yes.
A senator from Odikanwa State. On the floor of the Senate, she said that he knew many of his colleagues that had disturbed the peace of his home while they were asking him to do one favor or the other, to tell his wife to influence justice, the justice of Court of Appeal. In a same time, such kind of senators are supposed to be arrested and more interrogations conducted so that you can mention names of those senators. You can see it, and that's why I don't even want the wife of these politically exposed persons to be judges.
Right.
Because when you come to the house of the politician, it is his wife who is a judge, who is serving you food, serving you cola. So what do you expect that will come out when matters of interest comes to his or her table? These are the issues. And the issue of appointment, it has to be looked into. You have the judge. The judge will appoint his wife, make sure that his wife becomes a judge. His cousin becomes a judge. His niece becomes a judge. His nephew becomes a judge. That is appointment by cronies. They appoint their cronies and cronies. Nepotistic. So it is so unfortunate. That's the level we have found ourselves. Before now, you will say, when you have this set of facts and you apply the laws to the facts, you will get the successful results. But similar facts with similar application of law will not give you the same thing tomorrow. There's no consistency in our judicial precedents. Abegunde and the Oyo State House of Assembly, where the Supreme Court decided that, look, if you defect, you lose your seat. That's what the law says. We had expected, because I'm proud to comment on it, because the judgment has been delivered. Okay, it's no longer subject. Right. We had expected that since the lawmakers in Rivers State, 27 of them, they defected from the political party that sponsored the election. What we had expected the Apex Court to do is to declare their seat vacant. Why will you apply different set of laws on the same situations, on the same facts? Even when the 27 lawmakers in Rivers State of Assembly says we have defected, they even deposed an affidavit. We have copies. But it's a public document. We have laid hand on it. They signed, we have defected on oath. So that's why we are curious about the judgment of the Apex Court, being a policy court.
And that's where we are saying morality
has to come in. Search your conscience. Search your those are the members of our bench will also be very, very careful, because their decision can make this nation, it can mar this nation. Right. It can set this nation on a serious.
And it can endanger their own lives too. Their own lives will be in danger.
These are the issues. So we shouldn't, knowing that you are sitting there today in the bench to judge, tomorrow you know that you will go back to the ultimate judge who will judge you tomorrow. That's why we need to be very, very
careful. That's the most fearful.
Very, very careful.
I want to thank you.
That's what the Bible says. It's a fearful thing to fall
into the hand of the living God. And just like Barr have said, remember that there is an ultimate judge.
Yes.
And all of us will return to.
Exactly.
One day, someday.
Yes.
So the place of morality in law is very imperative.
Yes.
As a judge, as a lawyer, as a son, as an arbiter, you just have to be careful of what you dish out. A time will come, maybe in your old age, when you sit back and begin to have reflection, intro and in retrospective search of yourself. And when you start remembering all the errors you have committed, and because of you, Nigeria went into trouble. Because of you, a family was wiped out. Because of you, a lot of quagmire. You will not be happy that you are ending very badly. So the end of everything most times is always better than its beginning. I've been speaking with a Christian lawyer, an erudite scholar of the law, Barrister Chukwuka. He has been in the bar for so many years, a senior lawyer for that matter. Jesus still has people like this, and so we are looking at the law and morality. Today, wrong with this. Not only to lawyers, anything you are doing on earth, add morality. Morality is synonymous to Christianity. Christianity is Jesus. Morality, good morality. We're talking about the kingdom of God. We're talking about good things. We're talking about what will lead you to heaven after death. God bless you really good. Now, Barza, your parting words to people who are listening to you on how they should handle matter, not just every time you are rushing to court, and must everybody rush to the court? Where are the places of the arbiters and all that? So, what do you have to say to the people?
One thing is that that's why we have this thing, multi-door courthouse, where you settle issues outside the court. Because if issues are resolved out of the court, it engenders lasting peace in the family, amongst friends, among relations. We should explore that option also, not necessarily rushing to court.
Right.
There are so many levels of separation, both customary and arbitration. Because once you go to court and court makes pronouncement, there's nothing you can do. The only thing you do is to explore the hierarchies of court, from High Court to Court of Appeal to Supreme Court. And once they make pronouncement, that is binding. It doesn't engender lasting peace.
Right, that's correct.
So we should also, my advice to people is to also explore options of settlement. We have religious leaders who can always intervene to resolve certain issues. We have the chiefs,
the clan heads.
Yes. In those days, they make use of all these social groups to make sure that matters are resolved amicably.
Yes.
I will also advise people that, look, whatever we do on this debt, it is recorded. We will give account.
It is recorded.
So that is very, very important.
It is recorded.
So we should be guided by our conscience.
Yeah.
And even if you are guided by conscience, God is greater than your conscience. That is
Hallelujah. You have heard it from Barrister Chukwuka, an erudite scholar of the law, and we are telling you, one of the statements he made is everything you do is on the record. It's recorded. That's just the word. As a judge, as a lawyer, as I've said before, as a senior advocate of Nigeria, his son, as an arbiter, whether traditional arbiter or conventional arbiter, you just have to be very careful of what you do, because everything you are doing will live with you and even after you. Right? Let your conscience and good morality guide you. Don't put this country in destruction while you are out of this world. The country is burning. You will not make heaven. Your children will suffer it even after you. You are leaving trouble for them to carry. Even as a legislator, even as a political activist, even as a political person, you are trying to truncate democracy. You are trying to do something very obscure.
Subvert the rules.
Yes, subvert. Circumvent. Do a lot of stupid things. Remember that power is transient. It is not forever. Okay? It's not forever. One day you just stay very, very old, maybe in a vegetable state or some of those things. What you do? Are you not going to be happy that you enter into an aeroplane or into a car, people be hailing you for the policies you have done before? Or are you going to be such a person that when you pass, they will try to stone you or boo you or something? Or tell your children that your father was a very terrible, wicked man, or your mother was a very terrible, wicked person. So leave legacies that will leave good for you, with you now and after you. As a Christian, show the example. As a lawyer, you are. We have got the one here, and that's why we have brought him on board. God bless you, really good. I want to say to you, where you worship also matters a lot, affects you very positively as a lawyer. We have so many of them here in Resurrection Live Assembly, and we want you to worship with us. Plot 1042 Cathedral on BO3, Wuye, Abuja, Nigeria, where you worship is very imperative. Wuye, WUYE, and 08072265841. Worship with us this Sunday, worship with us next Sunday. All activities worship. Follow me on Facebook, Udochi, Majesty, or Odikanwa. www.resurrectionliveassembly.org. God bless you. Remember, Jesus Christ is the sweetest thing that can ever take place in your life. There is no shortcut to heaven. Jesus is the only way. John 14:6. God bless you. Really good. Shalom and stay blessed. Bye.